While Professor Plum and Miss Scarlet continue down the unknown hallways of the manor, Mr. Green and Mrs. White walk towards the ballroom, candles in hand.
Mr. Green, why are we heading back to the ballroom? The others are still searching different parts of the house, and we've already been in the ballroom.
Believe me, Mrs. White, I would like to think that this murder is just like any other criminal act. I've read hundreds of files on bank robberies, and I know that the criminal always returns to the scene of the crime. Thankfully, we're taking the western hallway instead of the northern. The murderer might be coming the exact same way we came.
What a frightful thought. It's a good thing I have you around, Mr. Green.
The two stop at the sound of something clicking in the dark.
Get down!
Mr. Green jumps on top of Mrs. White, causing both of them to crash to the floor, just as the sound of gunfire assaults the hallway silence. The hallway is shrouded in darkness as the candle's light extinguishes.
Help! Somebody help!
Wait, Mrs. White, stop! Nobody is here, it's okay.
Somebody just shot at us!
No, not someone, something.
What are you talking about?
Mr. Green lights a match and lights his candle once again. In the light, they can both see a clear wire wrapped around Mr. Green's ankle, with a black pistol's trigger attached to the end of it. Small lines of smoke drift from the barrel, with a quarter-sized bullet hole facing the opposite wall.
Oh my goodness, somebody booby-trapped the hallway!
Yes, it seems that someone has. This pistol trigger must have been set up after Mr. Boddy was killed to eliminate the other guests.
Are you saying that the murderer is coming for us too? What about the others? They could be in danger.
We are almost at the ballroom. I'm sure the murderer didn't have enough time to place traps in every hallway in the house. The others will get along fine if they're cautious enough. This should come in handy. Damn, no bullets left.
Mr. Green and Mrs. White continue down the hallway, with their candles held before them, cautious as to reveal any remaining traps. The duo once again enter the ballroom, where they see Mr. Boddy's body lying silently in its center, his body covered by Colonel Mustard's jacket.
Mr. Green, it seems nobody is here. It's as dark and as quiet as it was an hour ago. Should we head back and wait for the others?
Certainly not. There was another reason to come here other than discovering the culprit, Mrs. White. Now tell me, in mystery plays and novels, what is usually the first thing that they discern after somebody's been killed?
I'm sorry, sir. I don't know.
They find out the cause of death. So in order to find the killer of Mr. Boddy, we must first figure out what killed him. For credible evidence, of course.
Mr. Green walks towards Mr. Boddy's body, with Mrs. White trailing behind hesitantly. Mr. Green slowly lifts Colonel Mustard's jacket off of Mr. Boddy's body, revealing the bloodless and glazed face of their evening party host.
Sorry, it's just so shocking to see him.
Dead? I know, it must be extremely hard for you to see your employer lifeless on the floor, Mrs. White. But trust me, we are in the same boat. We work for the same man, and we will work for him again to solve his death.
Thank you very much, sir. If you don't mind me asking, why are you being so kind to me?
What do you mean?
Well, forgive me for being nosy, Mr. Green, but I overheard the conversation you were having with Miss Scarlet before dinner in the lounge. I came out to call everyone for dinner, and I heard snippets of your conversation. You seem short with other people and rather blunt when it comes to people's sensitivity.
Mrs. Scarlet is more like a character to me. Women like that can seem as fake as the jewelry they wear around their necks. You, Mrs. White, have been nothing but as humanly polite as possible to everyone around you, even if they might try to bite your head off as you continue to keep your composure. I admire you for that.
Let's see if we can find something on the other side of that body.
Now you're talking.
The two of them flip Mr. Boddy on his side to reveal a pool of blood and a wooden handle sticking out of his back.
Eureka! Now, what do we have here, Mrs. White? I would advise you to shut your eyes briefly. How interesting.
Quick, use my handkerchief to wipe off the blood.
Mrs. White opens her eyes to see Mr. Green wiping off a jutted blade with his handkerchief, the cream cloth turning rosy from the blades.
This is perfect. We now have the murder weapon. A rather strange weapon, I must say, when the attacker already seems to have gunpowder on his side.
Maybe for stealth purposes? The cocking of the gun might have alerted him.
You do catch on fast for a servant. We must keep searching the manor for other clues, and hopefully we can capture the murderer in the process.
We can take the servants' passage. I bet you anything that the intruder hasn't set traps in there. We can get around the house with ease.
With an offer like that, how could I refuse? Let's go.